Feel free to hop in at any time with any questions. I mean, I plan on just basically running through an example with everyone on how to go from contact all the way to submitting a commission. So like I said, if you have questions along the way, I'm happy to stop and address them at any time. Before we begin, are there any questions or anything that anyone would like to see covered?
Hi, Rob, this is Gary. I'm looking at your screen. I see that your picture is in a little circle, and mine just says KW in it at the moment. And I was wondering if obviously there's something I have to do to put it up there. I wondered what that was.
Yep, so that's part of your marketing profile.
Okay.
And if you go, and this is a good exercise for everyone if you haven't done this, and also save the Market Center training website that I made. So it's www.kwstrongsvilletraining.com, and I'll throw it in the chat also. Let me pull the chat up. So on there, Gary, if you go to Learn Command and then Guides and Resources.
Okay.
And then Settings, complete your marketing profile is what you're looking for that.
Complete my marketing profile. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And if you want, I can throw that link in the chat for anybody who may want it as well.
And I don't want to sidetrack your presentation.
No worries. No worries at all.
There was a lead that was sent to me, and I can see it. I clicked the little next to your where my picture should be.
Yeah, the bell.
There's a little bell, and I can see it, and I just don't know what to do with it once it gets there. Is that something that should be placed into command?
Yeah, so if you get a lead, what you can do is you should be able to click on it, and
yes,
basically it creates a contact for you. So you're welcome to handle it as best you want. I would suggest probably calling or texting the person immediately. So that kind of leads well into what we're talking about. So let me head into contacts.
Great.
And if anybody's anybody's unfamiliar with how to pop this menu out, in command, it's agent.kw.com is the command site. And if you click on the KW, it pops out what all these icons are. I honestly don't even look at the icons anymore. I just hit the KW button every time, and that's where I go. But if you click on contacts, so you'll see in my contacts, I have a lot of fictitious characters, since I obviously don't sell real estate, and a lot of our agents in my command as well. Gary, to answer your question, you would be directed basically to their contact card, which would look like this.
Yes.
And you would have their information on there.
Yes, I have seen that.
Okay. And you're welcome to add an activity.
Add an activity.
So if you were to call someone, you can put in meeting, call, text, or put in a quick note, and it'll put the date that you reached out to that person. So that way it's a good practice to get into, especially when you're managing your database and your contacts. So that way you know when the last time you contacted that person in. So for example, on my contact screen, you can sort by last contacted back and forth. So that's one of the different views that you can do. So that's why I highly recommend making sure that you track those things, because it's easy to forget, like, oh, I can't remember when I talked to that person last. So one of the things I definitely recommend. So in contacts, the first thing you're going to do, you can import contacts in one of two ways. The first way I'll show you is simply by clicking on add a contact. So Gary, I'm going to add you, and you're going to be my example today. How's that sound?
Okay.
So I'm adding Gary. I'm just going to make a generic email for you. And generic phone number. So the thing to realize when you're adding a contact, obviously, is the more information that you have, the better. So, and you're going to see a contact health score, which I'll show you in a moment. So basically what that contact health score means is that you have as much key data and information about this contact as possible. So the basic things, obviously, are name, email, and phone number. Now, I'm going to go ahead, since we're talking about commissions, so we're going to go ahead and assume that I'm working with Gary and Gary is putting offers on homes. So I'm going to mark Gary as a lead in my system. So that's good practice to do as well. There are also custom tags in Command, which I highly recommend using as well. So you can actually customize them. So if I just wanted to type in KW agent, for example, and I wanted to make that tag, it would pop up as a tag. If I wanted to type in buyer, I could tag Gary as a buyer. If, for example, I met Gary through something like a church group or something like that, and you want to send specific marketing pieces to specific groups of people, that's where the tags really come in handy, because you can sort your database and send specific smart plans, which I'll cover at another date as well. I think I have a class next month on smart plans, and there's also information on the training site about smart plans too. But you can sort your database, send specific marketing materials to certain groups, which is a feature that I really like. So like, for example, if I, like I said, I met Gary at a church group and I just type in church group, you're going to get an option to create a custom tag. So you can, like I said, sort your entire database by that specific tag. Any questions about this contact part before I move on? All right. So there's also this button for add more information. So additional contact information, you can select their preferred method of contact, any additional email addresses and phone numbers that they have. Now, a good practice as well. So and what I've seen in a lot of cases, some people will just under additional email and additional phone number, put like the spouse's contact information there. I would say that it's best practice to create an additional contact for a spouse. So keep them totally separate, and you can actually link them together simply by clicking on add relationship up here. And if that person's already in there, so I think Caitlin's in my database, I think. So Caitlin would pop up and I could link Gary and Caitlin together if they were buying a home together, for example. You can also remove it by clicking the X or remove relationship. For your existing database, it's important to get the address in there, and I'll show you why in a second, because that way you can send specific neighborhood data using smart plans, and it will improve your database health score. A feature that it also has is you can actually put the link to somebody's social media profile and quick access it if you'd like. My assumption is that there's probably going to be more integration with that in the future, maybe like pulling a picture, like a profile picture from Facebook or something like that. I really don't see many people using that feature, but just so you're aware that it is there. So at this point, we'll go ahead and create our contact. Oh, so 77777 isn't a valid phone number, huh? All right, let's try that. Well, I guess you're already in here. Gary, what's your email? Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
I'm sorry, Gary Galinsky at kw.com.
Okay. Perfect. Apparently I already had that ABC test email in there. All right. So what we're going to do is, since we tagged Gary already as a buyer, you can click on filters and then tags here. And this is how you sort the tags that you create. So I'm going to select buyer, buyers, hit apply. And here are my buyers. Gary is one of the buyers. So I'm going to click on Gary's contact card. So you'll see here, my contact health score is 64%. Now, remember what I was saying earlier about adding more information will get your contact health score up. So, Gary, we're going to add your address in here if you don't mind.
1145
One sec.
John Glenn Drive, Seven Hills, Ohio.
Sorry, one sec. So we're going to go back into the pencil up here to be able to edit the contact. Click on add more information, additional contact information. And sorry, go ahead, Gary, I'm sorry.
1145 John Glenn Drive.
There it is. So it does use Google Maps, so that's integrated. So most of the time the address will pop up for you. Then we're going to go ahead and click on save. So you see Gary's contact score went up 20 points for our health score. Now, a good practice as well for when you add a contact is to add their neighborhood at the same time. So you're going to click on add neighborhood. And what I do usually is I just scroll down a little bit, copy the address, click find on map, paste it right into the map. Now, usually what you're going to have to do is zoom in quite a bit to try to find the exact specific neighborhood, but his popped up on a pretty far out zoom level. So we just click on Seven Hills, save, and we have his neighborhood in there. And his health score should go up 4 points, maybe. But by having that neighborhood in there, you can now send your client specific information about said neighborhood. So if it was a past buyer of yours, they could get monthly, bi-weekly information about sales that are happening in their specific neighborhood. So I'm happy to go over that with everybody at another time. Reach out to me either individually or look for my class in April on smart plans, which we'll get into a lot deeper. But since today we're talking about commissions, which is my favorite topic, the next step in the process is to click on opportunities and then create opportunity. Now, there's really two ways to actually create an opportunity. You can do it by going to the opportunities tab on the side here and clicking create opportunity, or by going back to the contact card, clicking opportunities, create opportunity again. I prefer to do it typically through the contact card. Now, the great thing about it, let's say Gary was an investor client and he was going to be buying 10 properties from me, for example. You wouldn't have to actually create 10 different contact cards for Gary. All you would have to do is just continually add all of those opportunities, and they'll all stack nicely right in his contact card as well as on your opportunities page. Any questions at this point as far as the contacts or anything like that?
This is Gary again.
Yeah.
When does a person graduate from being a contact to an opportunity? Is there something that has to take place, some activity?
So I would say it's somebody that you're actively working with.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll show you the phases here. So that actually is a great lead into what we're about to create. So I'll answer your question in 30 seconds.
Sure.
So let's say, like we said, Gary was a buyer. Obviously, you'll be able to select listing, buyer, landlord, tenant. If you're on a team, your team should default as the team. If it does not, you'll have the opportunity to select the team, which I would recommend. The opportunity name. So this is kind of a key part. So depending on where you're actually at in the process. So if Gary's closing on a home tomorrow, we know the property address. But if Gary's just started shopping for homes, for example, you can leave the opportunity name to what it defaults, the client's name dash buyer. But as soon as you have the address, you can go ahead and update the opportunity name to the address. So additionally, this name will also be the name of, if you follow this exact process and start your loop or your DocuSign room in Command, that will actually be the name of your room or loop. Now you can also rename it in .loop or DocuSign later, but that's what it will default to. So be mindful of what you're naming your opportunity. So next we'll add estimated close dates. So let's say Gary's closing April 1st. Time frame 1 month. Now, this is a part that trips a lot of people up when they're creating an opportunity. So because Command is a national platform and most places are a standard like 3%, I know around here 3.2 is very, very frequent. So I would just suggest at this point, just put 3% in there, regardless of if your commission rate is 3% or not. I'll show you how to change it later. Basically, what the system needs is just something that's like a placeholder to have a commission rate defaulted in there. So Gary, to answer your question about when do we create an opportunity, really that's up to you. So you could create it as soon as you start working with someone. So there's cultivate, opportunity, excuse me, cultivate, appointment, and active. So let's say that you're in the active phase, for example. There are different opportunity stages in here as well: searching, showing, negotiations, legacy. Or hopping back over to appointment, scheduling, scheduled, capped. So that way you can also track your appointments and different things like that as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just say for this example, I just pulled up a quick realtor search. 1299 Warren Road was just listed today. So let's pretend like that is, let's pretend like that one is the property that Gary is purchasing, for example. So let's say that it's active and we are in the negotiations phase. So I'm going to click on create, and it's going to create an opportunity. So you can access the opportunity right here. It's going to open up another window, another tab to get to the opportunity home screen. But I'm going to close that and show you the other way to get in there as well. Going into opportunities, and you can click on all opportunities, or they'll be on this list here, depending on the different stage and phase that you selected. So since we put Gary as active, he's going to be here. So we can find the opportunity here and click on it and access it. Or we can go back on all opportunities. We can search by address. We can search by contact. And there it is. Any questions about that?
No.
All right. So this page here is the main spot where you'll basically manage the transaction. So the first thing, once you have a property under contract, and you can do this at any time really, But if you already have a property under contract when you're creating the opportunity, I would suggest doing it immediately because it won't actually let you submit a commission request without an address. So you click on the pencil above this property box. And what did I say it was? 1299 Warren Road. Figured I'd use a new one for my demonstration this time because I'm running out of 1234 Main Streets. So as you see, it populated all of the information. We're just going to click on save. And then our next step. So if you were starting the process, let's say we didn't exactly have a deal under contract yet, and Gary, we were just showing Gary homes, for example. What you would do is you would click on documents. And then in documents, there's this start a transaction button. And you would click on either DocuSign or dotloop, whatever your preferred signature platform is. And what would happen is, as I said before, it would create a DocuSign room or a dotloop loop. So whatever we named our opportunity, which is up here, the 1299 Warren Road - Gary Galinsky. So I'm going to go ahead and create a loop. And in order to do that, you have to make sure that your dotloop or your DocuSign, whatever platform you're going to use, is connected to your command. There are directions for that on the training site. If you do have issues with connecting them, just let me know and I'm happy to help. So now we have sync transaction and go to transaction. If I click on go to transaction, it's going to take me to dotloop. And it's going to take me right to the loop. So I'm going to go ahead and add a template in here. And then you can do everything as usual that you normally do in DocuSign or dotloop. Writing the offer, sending the offer, obviously having your clients sign all the documents, same thing that you usually do. The reason it's best to be started in command first is so that the documents can actually pull automatically. So I'm sure many of you have experienced, and some of you haven't as potentially as well. So for the last, I don't know, like forever, we have just been auditing all of the files directly in dotloop. So our auditor will go in, audit the file in dotloop, tell you if there's anything missing, tell you if it's good to go, etc. In the future, and many people are doing this now, we're kind of doing a hybrid at the moment, just because obviously my main focus is making sure that we get everyone paid on time. And as long as all the documents are there, it's not a big deal to me. But in the future, if dotloop ever does go away or anything like that, it's good practice to get into to start the loop or the room in command, because all the documents will actually sync directly into command. So let's go to, why is it not showing the correct folders here? Okay, there we go. I don't know if I sent it like refresh it or something or what, but so you'll see here, there's 3 different phases of documents. So you have your consultation docs, you're under contract, and you're closed. You will never have to worry about uploading the Alta closing statement. You're certainly welcome to do it, but it's not an office requirement. So let's say, for example, like I said, we were under contract. I'm going to click on sync transaction, and it's going to update the documents and make sure that dotloop and command are on the same page, so it pulls the correct version of a specific document. So let's say I wanted to add the affiliated business arrangement disclosure. I click on add a file, I click on dotloop, Then I pull the ABA, click assign, boom, document right there. So as soon as a document or multiple documents are in a specific folder in Command, you can actually submit for a compliance review just simply by clicking on Submit to MC, which is Submit to Market Center. So at that point, I get a notification as well as my auditing assistant and Erica, and we get a notification that your file is ready for review. So it'll say status submitted. Now you'll have the ability to add comments. So since I can't chat to myself, I'll chat to Rob, for example. Say, hey, blah, 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 documents, all documents are here. Let me know if you have any questions. This also functions as almost like a chat feature, similar to how the messaging function in dotloop functions as well. So really the way to think of the documents section in Command is that it's basically one big envelope with smaller envelopes in here for each individual document. So you won't actually be sending documents from Command. Those will be from the third-party partners that KW has, DocuSign, dotloop, or if you have documents that are just paper, you're welcome to scan them and put them in here as well. All you'd have to do in that case is just click on Add a File, browse, and you can just pull in anything from your desktop as well. Any questions about the documents section or starting loops or rooms or anything like that?
Rob, you mentioned that there's a choice between using DocuSign or dotloop. For a new user, which would you suggest?
So I would say probably less than 10 people in our market center are using DocuSign since it's newer. I am going to a DocuSign certification class, so it's not, I know a little bit about it, but I don't know a ton about it, and I really haven't taught many courses on DocuSign since it is new. We, as an office, pay for everyone individually to have dotloop access, and we are under contract with dotloop for the next year. So it's preference at this point, but as far as support and functionality, I would say 95, 98% of people in the office are using dotloop.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else have anything? Feel free to chat if you're not able to talk or anything too. All right, so the fun part, offers and commissions. So if you click on add a new offer, basically what we're going to do here, this is the beginning of submitting our commission request. So you can keep the name initial offer. The reason that it's in here is if you were, let's say I was showing Gary a bunch of homes and we were putting offers in and you wanted to send Gary what the offers looked like, you could name them 123 Main Street. You could name them whatever the property address is. For the office, we have 0 requirements as far as what this is to be named. So it's totally up to you. Now, if you have a listing, for example, the offers sheet can also function somewhat as a net sheet for you. So you will see shortly when I go through this, the ability to send and break down offers for your clients and send them an email through Command to do that. Certainly not a requirement, but it's an option that I'd always just like to make people aware of. So I'll just leave this named initial offer. We'll click on initial offer and offer date. We'll put close date, let's say 4/1, for example. Property, I think it was 1299 Warren Drive. Under parties, your client's information will automatically pull, as will yours. The only thing that we need from the other side is the seller's name. So let's say I see Tim McGinty on here. Tim, you're going to be my seller. And Ruta, you're the next person in line. So Ruta, you're going to be the agent. We'll just pretend you're at another brokerage for a second when I do my example. So you don't have to worry about putting any of their information in. Oh, looks like they did add address. Okay, so you will have to fill out seller's name or the buyer's name, address, and their agent's name. Then we click on terms. So this is a part that trips a lot of people up as well. And common sense, I would think, would dictate that you can just simply type in sales price. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So what you'd have to do is type in the sales price. So let's say it's 200,000, all in either cash or finance, or if you do want to break it down the correct way, you're welcome to do that. Does not affect anything on my end getting paid for commissions whatsoever. All I care about is that the sales price is correct. So you're welcome to put everything in finance, everything in cash. Like I said, just as long as the sales price is good to go, that's totally fine with me. The earnest amount, you're welcome to put in there, not a requirement. Termination options, seller costs. The reason you'd put anything in there would be as if you're sending anything to your client that you want to actually break down. So we'll click on agent analysis next. You can absolutely leave this blank. But if, like I said, you are sending, if you have a listing and you want to plug all your offers into Command, certainly be my guest. You can write pros, cons, and a summary and send all of that information to your clients if you'd like as well. But we'll skip over it since it's not a requirement. And then we're going to click accept. So now that we have an accepted offer, we're going to get a button that pops up for manage commission. So the first step when you're in the manage commission screen is to go directly into edit general information. So in here, remember way back when we started our opportunity and I said you can't reflect a 3-2 percentage. So what you would do, you would just type in whatever exactly your commission rate is. So if it's 5,000, if it's 52,500, 5250, if it's 5195, whatever your commission rate is, the system will automatically spit out a percentage. So I wouldn't waste my time trying to figure out exactly what that percentage is. Just make sure that whatever the commission amount comes in the office for is exactly this amount. Then you're going to want to make sure that you plug your contract date in. So let's say it was March 1st, for example.
Mike, can I ask a question about the total commission? Is that just on your side? Like if you're the buyer's agent, you're just worried about yours?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're a listing agent, do you put the entire commission or again, is it just yours?
Just you.
Okay.
Yeah, so the important thing to realize with that is on like your escrow letter, you're welcome to put what the total commission is and then break it down for each side, like especially if you are the listing agent. But all the system wants to know is what the commission amount is going to be coming into the office. So that way it matches. So if I got a check for 2,500, for example, I'd call Rachel and be like, hey, Rachel, you put 5,000 down. I just want to make sure that, you know, this check amount's correct and the title company didn't make a mistake. So that's why it's good that everything matches.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and click on save. So you'll see here, it says excess agent commission 805. The reason is because I adjusted whatever the commission was earlier in edit general information. So what we have to do is go to edit agent payment. And if we click on calculate commission, it will automatically pull what we had in there. think I got a question. Pam, if the co-broke is in-house, we're only still doing our side. So Pam, yes, at this time, so historically, for those who don't know, if you had a listing and the buyer's agent was a part of our office, it was your responsibility to turn in the commission from both sides. Because Command does not have the ability at this time to add, to do two sides, basically, even if you represented both sides, there would be an opportunity for a listing and an opportunity for your buyer, because they're two completely separate contacts. So at this time, just worry about whatever commission is on your side. The other agent, even if they're in-house, I'll work with them to get everything figured out. It's a good question. Thank you, Pam. So if, for example, we have another agent who is on our side. So let's say that Rachel was helping me out to get Gary sold and closed, and she showed him homes, and her and I are going to be splitting the deal 50-50. I probably should have used a bit easier number to split in half. I'll throw 5,000 in there. Okay. So what you would do, and depending on how you structure that, you want to structure the units, 0.5, and it'll calculate the commission for you based on the percentage of the unit. Or what you can do, if I want to take the entire unit, I can type in 2,500. Now, what you'll also have to be aware of is our brokerage 195 transaction fee. So the best way to add that is if you click on add item and then bonus and then 195 split with market center, add. I will add it if it's in the contract and on the check stub automatically, but it's helpful for me if you do add it in Command here this way. Other items in the add item feature, I would suggest never using inside referral, because all you would do for an inside referral is click, and I'll show you, is click on add another agent, because that agent's in our office, even if it is an inside referral. So if I was giving Rachel a 25% referral fee for Gary as a client, I would just click on add another agent, add Rachel for 25%.
Mike,
Going back.
Mike, can I ask another question about the 195?
Yeah.
That 195, that's only if the property is listed at our brokerage, right?
It's across the board. So if you look at the contract and the listing agreement, it'll say a 195 transaction fee in there.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you add it to your escrow letter under additional commission. So for example, just to show you real quick, since I have it up, where's the escrow letter? That's going to make me fill it out. But so you see here where it says additional commission.
Yeah.
That's where you'd put the 195. So you put your base commission there, and then you'd put 195 and then 51.95 there.
Okay. So that's buyer or seller client then? Correct.
And then hopping back over to Command. And you're welcome to put any KW Cares, Kids Can deductions in there. So basically what that is that goes directly to Keller Williams International on a monthly basis. So we make a transfer every month for that. We also have a local KW Cares 501c3. So if you want to contribute anything out of your commission for the local account, you can just let me know on a case-by-case basis, or you can go in here and click on deduction. So if you wanted to do 25, type in KW Local Cares, our address, and it'll add that as a deduction as well. And then we would click on save. And since we haven't allocated all the commission, we're going to get an error here. So remaining agent balance, 2,500. This is where, if you have, like I said, another agent on the transaction on the same side as you, that's where you'd click on add another agent. So let me add Rachel. And then the remaining commission balance is automatically going to populate on here for her. Then I click save and then submit. So some of the questions I do get, and you'll see and Rachel, you're probably, oh, it didn't come up. Okay. So because I obviously don't produce, I don't have a cap or anything like that. So you'll see what your cap balance is. This is your company dollar, and this is your royalty. So 6% and 20 or 30%, depending on whatever the split you're on. You're welcome to look at it. It's accurate monthly, but the numbers that will always be the most accurate are the numbers that I have in my system. So I'm only really ever looking at the gross numbers for each individual, because my system will override everything to make sure that it's correct. I'll stop there for the moment. Does anyone have any questions about this page or anything about the splits or commissions in general?
Hi, Rob. This is Gary again. It's more of a general question.
Yeah.
But how much playing can we do here? If I create a fictitious opportunity, can I play around in the system up to the point of submitting without hurting anybody?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would encourage everybody to do that. If you haven't done it, I have plenty. I have like every Disney character I could possibly think of in my database. So
we just have to not submit, or otherwise it'll go into the headquarters or wherever. Correct?
It'll come to me. It'll come to me. So I prefer you don't, but you're welcome to, and I can just take care of it. So basically, what happens when you submit? It gives you another opportunity to donate to KW Cares. Then you click apply, and then you'll get a notification as soon as your commission has been accepted, as well as a notification. I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier. The notifications for compliance as well. So if there's like a document that was missing or something wrong with a specific document, notifications would come in here. And Rachel, yes, correct. Have I used Winnie the Pooh? Diana, aka Sharon, wants to know. Yes, Winnie the Pooh is one of my favorite clients. Ruda, how can I create an opportunity when receiving a referral from another agent? So Ruda, what you can do for your referral is the same thing. Just create an opportunity, and you can just name it. So if it was like Mike-referral, what you do, the only thing different is you would just put, you wouldn't necessarily have to put sale price unless you know it. I know in some cases on referrals, people don't know exactly what the sales price is. So you could just put 0, and then you could put the total unit as 1. I hope that answers your question. And feel free to unmute. Everybody's feel free to unmute if you also have questions. But that's basically it as far as going from contact to commission in the system. So I know that it's sometimes when you see someone do it, it's a little bit difficult, especially because I'm jumping around and doing a lot of different things. Rachel, you did a good job on your first one that you did. There's a tab on the training site for commissions and compliance. And if you click on the get paid guide here, or it's further down, I'll have to kind of reorganize this a little bit. There was an update with offers and commissions in the last month. So that's the only thing that's different in here in this training guide. So it goes step by step with everything. The only difference is this change response feature. So I'll zoom in a little bit. Commissions used to be a tab up at the top. Now it's down here after you click accept. That's the only real difference. But I can update that at some point as well. Difference between task versus activity in the contact. So Rachel, great question. So hop back over to contacts here. So Rachel asked, what's the difference between a task and a, where did chat go?
I have a part
Rachel-
2 to that question too, after
Sure.
you answer.
Okay. She wanted to know what's the difference between a task versus an activity. So let's go into a contact, for example. A task is basically something that will pop up on your notifications. So if you have the app Kelly downloaded, now there will be a command mobile coming out at some point in the near future. Keller Williams' previous app was called Kelly, K-E-L-L-E. And you can actually use it to add contacts. I wouldn't, I would just use command, but I use it primarily as a notification tool on my phone. So command and Kelly work hand in hand with that. So if I was to create a task, for example, and my task was to call Adam about appraisal, if I could spell appraisal, and I can set myself a specific date and time to call him and schedule appraisal. So I click on create task. So the task will pop up here under the contact card over here, or it'll appear here on the home page. So since I don't have any tasks scheduled today, when I log in tomorrow, command is going to tell me to call Adam about his appraisal and schedule that. The activity portion is on the timeline. So an activity is a meeting, a call, a text, or a quick note that you want to take that will be timestamped. So let's say that I called Adam, scheduled, I could spell today, and he has responded because he answered the call and we scheduled the appraisal. So come up in this timeline, the fact that we touched base and we scheduled the appraisal, whatever I wanted to note. And then if I wanted to check off the task, I just click complete task and we have a complete task. Does that answer your question, Rachel?
That 100% answers my question. So like the task is almost like if you have a lot of contacts and you're creating tasks for people in your homepage, it's almost like an unassigned queue where you can open it for the day and be like, okay, this is what I got to get done for all of these clients.
Exactly.
So then my other question is there a way to create like an activity process? Like, hey, I want to make sure, like if you have a client that you are just cultivating and nurturing, like, can you create like a activity process so that tasks will go into the homepage, like, you know, once a week or once a month, whatever you schedule to like touch in with this customer or yeah, customer to see how they're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually do that in two different ways. So you could add a task individually for each person. So you could schedule this out, you know, if I wanted to touch base with him May 1st, you could do that individually, or there are different smart plans that you can do. So let me just hop in there real quick. Before I hop into smart plans and kind of go down that rabbit hole for a couple minutes, does anybody have any questions about commissions specifically? Feel free to unmute or chat.
Still doing the green sheets?
Yes, that's still an available option.
Okay.
I don't know how much longer. I mean, apparently green sheets were going to go away like a year ago and they're still here. So Don, really, like, you're welcome to use either. I think it would be a good idea to start using Command, since we know that that will be the way 100% at some point in the future. But obviously, short-term priority is making sure that people get paid quickly and on time. So for me personally, I prefer Command because it takes me 30 seconds to pull all the data into my system from Command. A green sheet takes me like 3 to 5 minutes. So I'm a little bit more efficient using Command with the data transfer.
Understandable.
So to answer the second part of your question, Rachel, if you go into Smart Plans and you click on Library, there's about 50,000 different Smart Plans in here. So if you wanted to, let's type in Nurture. So basically, there are Smart Plans in here. So midterm nurture, long-term nurture. So let's say you have somebody who wants to buy like within a year or sell within a year. By adding a Smart Plan, some Smart Plans actually have tasks embedded right into them. So what you do, let's view the steps for this Smart Plan. So basically what it'll do, it would prompt you to call the contact. So basically this is like a month, but it runs for 6 months. So you would basically do 2 calls a month, but you can also edit all of these and completely customize them. So to add a Smart Plan, what you would do is just click Add Smart Plan, download, and then they're in My Smart Plans. So let's say, for example, we were in our database and we had, let's just click on a few random people. So let's just say we tag these people as future buyers, for example. Let's say that their tag was a future buyer. If what I wanted to do, if we select them, you can click Select Bulk Action, Add to Smart Plan, and put them on long-term neighborhood or long-term nurtures. So obviously there is customization with that.
Yeah.
If you want to customize your Smart Plan, what you do, oops, wrong tab. Is in your library, or excuse me, in your Smart Plans that you've downloaded. There's this pencil button here. And you can completely customize every aspect of it. So if you want to just call once a month or touch base once a month, send a text, create a task, just add that, create a task in here as well. So the reason you would do something like that is to try and have everything as automated as possible, because it's very difficult to remember a large database of people and when to call them and everything like that. So I'm a big fan of, as the less work you can do and the easier things are, the easier it is for you. So just doing the setup of it will really speak volumes.
Well, that makes sense. I'm glad because that was my main issue with Command, is like, I want to see the task every day that I need to do. So that makes sense. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
And then my final question is, so is there a calendar that's embedded within Command? Because this is like my vision and my dream, to be able, like, especially if you have a team, to be able to go to the calendar and like color code like the contacts, like, hey, these are the people that we are seeing for appraisals this week or inspections this week. This is the listing presentations we need to do. Like, the look of Command is very like, I feel like data, or like, I don't know, left brain, right brain, but like, I like to see an actual map and see things.
So as far as like scheduling, like out like listing presentations or anything like that, that's probably going to be best suited for the tasks function. Now, however, I would say, and this isn't necessarily in calendar format, so what you can do is on the opportunity dashboard, you'll have different stages and phases in here. So like, for example, you can totally customize this. So if you click on edit stages, and let's say we want to change this to listing presentation. So let's say I save it as listing presentation. I go back. So let's say Ashraf, I have a listing presentation coming up for him. I'm going to put all the people that I have created an opportunity for that I need to do a listing presentation for in that file. So let's say at that point, once we have him scheduled, we'll drag him over to appointment. And now he's in appointment. So we can drag him over. Let's say we had the appointment was kept. And then once we list the house, we can drag him over to active. And I think this is, yeah, this is listings. So you can totally edit and customize the names for these. And you can add different checklist items within each phase, if that makes sense. So I know the calendar portion of it isn't necessarily there, but the task and business flow process is.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I'll definitely give feedback to Command. So that was helpful. I appreciate you. Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anybody else have anything? All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out, mschmieder@kw.com, or just give me a buzz at the office. See everybody soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Gary.